Hey, y'all. Today we are talking about 3 reasons why I absolutely love building an audience on Facebook groups, even in 2024. And before I dive into these 3 reasons, I just want to give you guys a little background. When I first started my online business, it was in leadership coaching, it was 2019. And I was basically on every platform doing all the things, trying to be everywhere for everyone. And honestly, I really wasn't getting much traction. Like, nobody really was like reading or commenting on my posts or wasn't getting any sales from them. And I just couldn't really figure out why. Well, in hindsight now, I know why. It was because I was doing all the things in a really mediocre way, not optimizing for the specific platform that I was trying to see a result from. And what really changed for me was being able to just stop doing all the things, stop trying to be everywhere for everyone all the time. And instead, I focused on not just trying to create a following, but trying to create a community of people with a similar vision, with similar values who all wanted to solve, one problem. And the vehicle that I was able to do that with was Facebook groups. So I started this awesome Facebook group called the We Build Killer Teams Facebook group for leaders who essentially wanted to build really strong, high performing teams, right? And basically show up and lead the way for their teams. So I went from when I first started the community to having literally like 0 people aside from like a few friends and family on my email list to almost 1,000 people in just 8 months join this one community. And I was using a really great live video strategy that really helped kind of make this happen, in addition to like knowing how to actually leverage the platform itself. But this was back in 2019, and like that community helped me, learn how to audience build. It helped me build up my first business. It helped me make sure that I didn't have to go back to my corporate job. And even now in 2024, fast forward from 2019, groups are still one of my absolute favorite places to audience build. And I know that groups can get a lot of hate. Like, there's a lot of people who are salty about the algorithm and people aren't seeing their posts or whatever. There's not enough good leads, or, but legit, like any platform you go to, there's going to be people complaining about those things. But again, today I'm going to talk about why I think it's still relevant, why I still love it, why my students still do so well with it. And we're going to go from there. So first off, this is live. I'm live right now. I see a bunch of people watching live. If you are here watching with me live, drop me a hashtag live, drop me a hashtag replay, and let me know in the comments, like, how engaged is your Facebook group right now? Are you like at a 1 where it's like no engagement at all? Or maybe you're 10 where your engagement is amazing. You love running this group. Everything is going all fine and dandy. Let me know where you're at. And I'm obviously doing this to educate you guys on one of my favorite topics, but I'm also going to be running a 4-day mini course called Revive with Lives. I'm going to share my screen real quick right now. I'm not going to go super deep into this, but essentially starting April 15th, we're going to have 4 days where every single day I'm going to be walking you through how to revive your dead, unengaged Facebook group. So we're going to go through on day 1 what a successful customer journey looks like. Day 2, we're going to talk about what scripts you need to be using every single week to engage and convert your group. We're going to go through the 4 post a week strategy. We're going to talk about lead generation. We're going to talk about accelerating and what a monthly and quarterly schedule should look like. So it's literally as low as $7 to get in on this training. I've made it like insanely accessible. I'll talk about this a little bit more at the end. But if you do want to look more at it and you love this content, you can go to the link in the description of this. And we're going to jump in and talk through the 3 reasons. Okay, so reason number 1 why groups are still one of my favorite places is for the social mission or the social component. Now, there's plenty of groups that are like spammy and scammy and like they don't feel like they have a social mission. But if you go into your platform, when you create or when you re-engage and you make sure that the social mission is there from the start. And when I say social mission, it means people feel like they are coming to your group and they feel like they're a part of something more. They feel like they're part of a community. They feel like they are part of a group of people who are working toward something similar. And a group is an amazing place for this because, number one, like on most social channels, like for example on YouTube or on Instagram or on TikTok, you are the only one who can post, right? Your audience can participate in the comment section, but they can't create their own content. Like when you are running a community, everyone can participate, right? So everyone can post, everyone can create videos, everyone can post questions. It doesn't just have to be you who is carrying the conversation, who's running the entire thing. And if you're doing a really good job, putting out content and giving calls to action, like everyone should be participating inside of the group if that's what you're trying to have happen. Right. And so that's one of my favorite reasons why like a group is such a great like social mission type of space, because it really isn't just about your content. Like everyone can participate and everyone can get advice from not just you, but everyone in the group. And so again, it can feel really like spammy and scammy if you don't set the tone right. So making sure your group feels like it has a social mission isn't just saying you have a social mission. It's number one, putting the making sure you have the right language. So you have a welcome video talking about your social mission. When people give their email to you when they join your group, you have an email sequence talking about, what you're about and what you're trying to achieve. In the events that you do, you talk about some of those things. So, there's the language that you actually use, and then there's the action that you take inside of the group as well. So when I say action, I mean, you don't just talk about it, but you are someone who is actively then creating events or giving the spotlight to other creators that are allowing them to do that. So for example, for me, I love to run like challenges and different events, like free and paid ones that are consistently making sure we're solving this problem and bringing community and giving people access to spaces that are going to actually help them to, get to that next level. So give me a yes or a no if you feel like your group right now has been feeling like you have the social mission to it, or it's just sort of kind of just is another piece of social media for you. Okay. And I see someone saying, hey, it's been a while. I haven't started a group. How are you thinking about it? Awesome. Well, I hope this gives you some clarity. Very cool. Okay. Second reason that I absolutely still love Facebook groups is, especially for people who are new in business, for anyone, but if you don't have robust social media, if you don't have a big email list, so many people waste time creating lead magnets as the first thing they do, where they're like, okay, I'm going to create a PDF. I'm going to create an ebook. I'm going to create a guide. I'm going to create a video series. And they do all these things and they create and create and create. And then they don't actually know how to draw people in. What I love about a Facebook group is it is a lead magnet, right? It is the thing that you can use to get people there. And I think that's sort of a weird thing for people to sometimes wrap their head around. It was for me. Like I was the person who legit, when I launched my leadership coaching business, I did it with an ebook. And I was like, oh, I'm going to write the ebook and people will buy it. It didn't happen, right? And I'm going to go in depth with more of that example. But if you think about setting up a Facebook correctly, if you are setting up the name and the description of the group and the banner, and you are optimizing with those things, right? What's going to happen is when people are searching for a solution, like for example, when people are searching for video marketing help, this group is titled, I'm going live in a couple places, but I'm going live in the video marketing hangout group, right? So I've got video marketing, what's it called? It's called Video Marketing Hangout Group, Sell with Ease on Camera. So the key things are video marketing, selling, camera, like those are all key words. So when people are typing things in like that on Facebook, this is a group that will rank and that will pop up. And that's how a lot of people do end up finding that group. So once people find the group, then, they hit join and they have to answer questions about their goals, challenges, and they have to give their email, right? This is a private space where the only way you are able to get in is in this kind of equal exchange where it's like you can come in and get all this free content, but you got to give me your email in exchange for that, right? So that's what a lead magnet is, right? It's the same thing if you were to create a PDF, but I don't think most people think about their space as a lead magnet in and of itself, but a Facebook community is set up to be that way. So again, if you have everything optimized, if you have those questions set up correctly, it's really amazing. And Facebook will do a lot of the hard work for you. So I tend to see really huge spikes in membership when, like, for example, when I'm running events. So when I run events like Go Live Con, which is my 4-day summit that I run, or my live video challenge, where I have just these huge influxes of new people that are coming in during these events, Facebook starts to recognize it. And then I start to see people joining who like aren't signed up for those events because Facebook is putting me in the suggested group column, or people are inviting other people. So again, if you're setting it up correctly and you're engaging people correctly, it can be the lead magnet. And I just want to contrast with one example with, comparing when I was leadership coaching in 2019. I talked about that earlier in this video. I said I launched my business with an ebook. It was called Teach Your Ducklings to Fly. It really helped me in a lot of ways to get clarity on who I was as like a coach and other things, but it really didn't do much for my business except maybe build a little bit of authority. But I had this ebook that I spent hours on, thousands of dollars on coaching for. I don't regret writing it, but it was not a good lead magnet. Contrast it to the free Facebook group called the We Build Killer Teams Facebook group, right? And I had close to 1,000 people end up joining this Facebook group in like 8 months. And the difference is that the ebook that I wrote, I didn't have an audience around it. There was no one that like I wasn't pulling people in any way. I just had written this thing versus like setting up my lead magnet on social media and optimizing for it. It was pulling people in that way. And so I ended up having really like not much to do with the ebook after that and going all in on the community. And that's where I totally switched from being the person who went from trying to do like a million different lead magnets, all the quizzes and guides and just all those different things, and literally just focus on having a private space that people had to give me their email to enter, and having my content be the pull, having my events be that pull for it. So let me know if you guys have any questions so far. I hope this is all making sense to you. And we're going to go to reason number 3. This is the final reason. And I've kind of talked about this already. I feel like this has sort of been the theme, but like this is just a big one. So I think groups are like one of the best event spaces. And I know, again, you could do this in so many places. I know some people are moving away from doing stuff on Facebook. I still really like it for a lot of reasons though. So for me, I'll host a lot of challenges. I host a lot of workshops. I'm part of a lot of bundles, like summits, all of these different things, right? And I honestly think that like your live video strategy, and you guys know this if you've been following me, is there's 2 kind of approaches with it. There's your weekly lives where you're showing up for your community every single week and like having these chats, right? Like right now, like this isn't a formal thing. This is not a formal event. Like I scheduled it as an event, but this is very like casual, like this just us, right? It's not like a big thing. But having more formal live events like challenges or workshops or summits, like something that's going to bring a little bit more notoriety, a little bit more authority, a little bit more of like next level, not just super casual, I think is really important. And it doesn't have to happen all the time, even if it's just once a quarter or every 6 months. Or, I have some students, and like this was me too at one point, like every month we're going hard with events because they wanted to grow really, really fast. So I think a group is an amazing space because number one, you can create reminders, like event reminders. So you're able to basically create an event like this, and maybe I'll share my screen for this so you guys can see what I am talking about. Okay, so this is the video marketing hangout group, right? So today I have this event, and I'm able to invite, over 900 something people to this event, and people are able to hit going, hit maybe. They're able to get these reminders, right? If I go into the actual Facebook group itself, right, I'm able to, see the event in the group, and anyone who's invited is able to actually get those reminders, right? And again, if you're one of those person who's get those reminders, like I get the reminders on my own events. So if you're the person who gets reminders, let me know. But I think it does a really good job of doing a lot of the work for you. Because I know that my events will be like, hey, don't forget, this event is starting in 30 minutes or whatever, right? Or an hour. So it will remind people. And I think that's a really, really helpful thing. So again, you can create these events. So you could do it for a live, but other things I like to do it for too, for example, are, let me give an example. So when I ran Go LiveCon last year in September, I created an entire event from September 18th to September 22nd, basically talking about this event that I was doing, Go LiveCon, free 5-day summit, free ticket on event page, gave a little detail, put the sign up. And I just had so many people that ended up signing up from creating this one event, right? And yet, yes, you can put reminders on Instagram or reminders on a different platforms, but as posts or stories or whatever. But this is literally sending people to the actual, giving people reminders and sending them to this actual page where they're going to read through something, which I just think I've seen personally a huge spike in signups when I post things like this. Okay, cool. All right. I see people are still here late, but live. I have stage fright of doing a video. Hope you can help. I'll respond to this in the comments because I do have videos on building confidence on camera. I actually did a whole video on this last month. Okay. All right. So again, the last reason, and I'll stop sharing real quick. Like I said, last reason, it's an amazing event space for hosting all your different types of events. You can create reminders. The last thing to this too is I think that groups are a great place to create more of a learning journey in a space that's free. So you could probably do this on other platforms too. For example, Circle, I'm sure they have similar things, but it's a free space. And again, it goes back to that lead generation thing. So for example, you can pin things to the top of your group, right? You can do @everyone tags. You can put things into modules. You can tag things based on categories. So you can set things up in a way that's more learning friendly that you can't do with an Instagram or YouTube, I think the same type of way. So if you are trying to set up more of that type of experience for your events, I think it's a much more accessible, free place to be able to actually do something like that. Cool. So I hope this is all making sense to you. And just the last thing I want to say too, because part of why, all the Facebook groups are on my mind too, is because you guys, hopefully, Facebook is banning for groups only third-party apps. So basically that means that if you're going live using Zoom or StreamYard or Ecamm, you're not going to be able to use those things to stream into your group only. So in the Video Skills Lab, I'm actually doing an entire training on workarounds and different tools you can use this Friday. So if you're in the lab, make sure you are at that training Friday. If you're not, let me know if you need the link to sign up. But like I said, because of some of the changes and just generally people are always kind of salty if things aren't working or whatever. People always have issues with different platforms. And again, that's fine. But I think there's a really big difference for people who want to move away from groups. There is a big difference between what kind of group you are moving people to, if that makes sense. So, for example, someone recently asked me, "Hey, I really want to get off of Facebook. What platform should I go on?" And I was like, "Well, why? What community are you moving?" And they're like, "Well, just my regular group." And I'm like, "Are these people your students?" And like, "Well, no." I was like, "So why are you moving them off a platform? Why are you paying for this private platform and moving people off, especially if your goal is lead generation?" So if your goal is lead generation and you are moving people to a platform that is not good for lead generation, like for example, Circle, right? That is a private platform that is great for community. That is great for, sorry, I should clarify. It's great for community that has paid you. So if you have a client group, if you have a student group that is paying you and wants this elevated private space and they're already invested, sure, maybe that's a good space, but that's not where you're going to find new people. So for people who want lead generation, you got to think, does it make sense to move to a platform that's not good for lead generation? Or does it make sense to, have those two separate communities and just keep your students on those platforms? So something to ask yourself is, what is my goal for this community? Is it to bring new people in? Because if that's the case, your best bet is to stay on social media where people are, right? Or is it just to create a more elevated space for your clients and students? So just give me a yes. Let me know if that made sense. That was kind of a long answer. It's been a long day. And let me know let me see if we have any questions. Okay, so someone's saying, do you post one event for several days, one event per day? How often do they get reminders? So I personally, I don't like to do a lot of events at one time. I try to spread them out. So for example, if you go live every single week on Monday, right? So maybe every Friday is when you post your event, right? So you just have that one, but I would leave like at least a day or two, because there's the thing too, people get jaded. If you're doing too many posts, too many events, it's just, they're not paying as much attention. So like try to have it be like once, maybe twice a week, something you're doing. And if someone's saying, I think this is the same person, a 5-day challenge, if it's something like that, you could schedule those things out in advance, but I would be careful about inviting people too far in advance. So usually I will schedule them out and I will invite them 48 hours before, so they're not getting like 5 days worth of invitations. Or you could do what I just showed on the screen, which is something like this, where you could say 5-day challenge. Here's the ticket details, right? Go to the event page for the ticket details and then just put all the details, there, and just have one big event you're doing for that 5-day challenge. So let me know if that makes sense. If you have any other questions. Okay. Another question. Do you create the event from your group or personal profile? So I don't think you can create an event from your profile. I think you can only create an event from your Facebook group or from your business page. So it's going to be one or the other. It just depends where you're trying to run the actual thing. If you're running it in the group, you are going to be creating the event from your group, right? And it's as simple as, again, going into the actual group itself, right? You go into the event section, you hit create event, you just fill out the information, and then you hit create event from there. So let me know if I answered that for you. Let me know if you guys have any other questions. But I hope today just gave you some idea of like, even when you're hearing, like if you're someone who hears a lot of like negativity about groups or different social platforms, like I think like there's something to be said for like really looking at like the positives that these things bring too. There's always negatives, but there's always a lot of positives. Like, sure, there are things I don't love, but like more than a lot of things, I'm so grateful for the fact that like this does exist, because like now I work from home all the time, and like I'm gonna have a little baby in July, and like I don't have to worry about, you know, maternity leave or getting that stuff checked out. And it's because I've been able to build community. It's because I've been able to make a really great income from, you know, these communities. And, you know, I am grateful for it. So yes, there's really like, there's negative, but like, I think we should also be focusing on the positives of these things too. Okay, cool. So let me real quick go through with you guys. Like I said, if you want me to help you to revive your Facebook group, right? Maybe you have and I'll take this guy off the screen. Maybe you have a group. It doesn't matter how small. It could be 10 people, it could be 20 people, it could be like one person, but you've created something. Maybe you have this group and you're like, I don't know how the heck to get people in it. I don't know how the heck to engage it again. Maybe you kind of went silent on them. Maybe they haven't heard from you in a while. It doesn't matter, right? This is going to be 4 sessions where we're literally walking you through step by step how to take your group right now from just feeling like super hopeless and dead to just thriving. So like I said, we're going through 4 sessions. I would go to the actual page. I've got the link in the description of this video. Go to the actual page and read through what this stuff is. Because again, we're going through so much during these 4 days. Each day is probably going to be around an hour with time for questions at the end. But we're going to talk about, you know, how to do an amazing Facebook group customer journey. We're going to talk about the first videos that you need to do for your group to re-engage them. I'm literally going to give you the scripts and what to say. We're going to give you the 4 posts a week strategy where we have one live a week. I'm going to break it down with examples. We're going to talk about how to leverage a video series. We're going to talk about lead generation and paid and free strategies that you can be using to grow your group. There is so much we are covering. So again, this is mostly for people who like you have some sort of group, even if it's very tiny or you haven't used it. But like if you haven't created one yet, either way, this is stuff you're going to need to know. You just will have to like actually create the group to be able to implement it. So it's as low as $7. Like you can get into the trainings for $7. And what I really wanted to make it accessible for anyone who wanted to come. If you want to come to our VIP day, which is basically where we'll have an entire day. We're going to have a day 5 where I basically go through in depth with you, like question and answer sessions. We're going to do Facebook group audits. We're going to do content audits, homework review. We're going to do an in-depth session, plus give you guys like lifetime access to replays. You can do the VIP ticket at $47. But again, if you just want to come in, listen to the sessions, you could come in at $7. So again, the link is in the description of this video. I would love to have as many of you there as possible. Like, again, I think groups, especially now that like there's so many options, I think more and more people are underestimating how powerful they can still be even now, again, in 2024. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's session. Let me know if y'all have any questions. Let me know what your biggest learnings were. But otherwise, you can drop me a hashtag live if you watch live or a hashtag replay if you watch the replay. And I will see y'all real soon.